What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the Struggle to Strength podcast, your source for real life application on how to turn your struggles into strengths in all things mind, muscle, and money. I am your host, Josh Levine, and I am joined here by my longtime friend and my co-host, Travis Hatch. And today, we have the pleasure of talking with my good friends, Kenny and Sarah Lipton. These are two incredible health and fitness coaches who left their corporate jobs and went all in on themselves, even when the odds were stacked against them. Honestly, just a couple of national fucking treasures, for real. So inside, we talk about everything from battling the naysayers to what it takes to make it, building a strong community of successful and like-minded individuals, and so much more. Before we get into it, we ask that if you love this episode, please give us 5 stars on Apple or a follow on Spotify. Share us on your socials. You can find me at Josh Levine Fitness. You can find Travis at Travis Hawks Media. We love connecting with y'all. Now buckle up. It's about to get real as we welcome Kenny and Sarah Lipton. Coming in hot. Hey.
Recording 1, 2, 3.
Hey,
What's up?
On the rush, man.
Long time no see.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
How are you guys?
Good,
How are
dude.
you?
Good.
I'm good. We're good. Travis is getting some things dialed in over here.
Howdy, guys. Just give me 2
Hey.
Hey,
minutes.
oh wow.
Yeah. Ooh,
Travis, your voice sounds so like radio, man.
I know, right?
Welcome to the show.
Oh,
Is
so
this
what do
your-
you guys do today?
I worked. Travis, what did you do today?
I worked. I got back. I was in California this past weekend. I just got back in last night.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, where about did you go?
Los Angeles.
Oh,
Okay.
cool. Yeah, I'm from Northridge and Sarah's from Palmdale.
Oh, yeah. You guys
Oh,
did move
sick.
from California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we just recently moved. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. You've been in Austin for how long?
Almost 6 months.
Yeah, 6 months
Almost 6
now.
months. Okay. That's awesome. We have a lot of friends in California, so we definitely go back there.
It's kind of crazy, man. Like, so growing up, there's a lot of small businesses where in Northridge, and as the years went by, a lot of those small businesses have slowly kind of disappeared. And visiting back, I think, November? Yeah, it was just kind of eerie. It was weird, man.
Were you already coaching when you left? When did that happen?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were coaching for, I think, over a year. I think
Mhm.
a year and a half at that point.
Yeah.
And then we quit our jobs this past July.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it was all very new. So
That's awesome.
Wow. Super.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Y'all were both corporate, right?
we did.
We were
yeah.
both corporate.
What'd you guys do?
I was in I was an accounts payable analyst.
Oh, no way.
Fucking Daryl.
Just fucking Daryl. That's awesome. Sarah, what'd you do?
I was in the event management space for like 4 years, and then I went into the medical health insurance field where I was doing events for them. So I was a wellness coordinator for Anthem Blue Cross. So I did that for 4 years also. So yeah, God, that
No
was a
way.
long time. Oh my God.
No way. So, Kenny, I know you were a cyclist, but were y'all always fit people? And I feel like it sounds weird asking it like that, but like you're fit people. Were you always fit people?
I mean, I was in sports growing up, so I played soccer, baseball, and basketball. Like those were the 3 sports that I like oscillated between.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason I did those sports is my dad just wanted me to do it. And I think cycling came up when I was about 18 years old, and I rode a bike my whole life. And I saw Lance Armstrong on the TV one day, and it was his last Tour de France. He just had won. And I remember looking at the TV, I was like, who the fuck is this guy? And then I asked my dad, like, who the fuck is this guy? And he said, oh, that's Lance Armstrong. You don't know who Lance Armstrong is? I said, no, I have no idea. I had no idea this, bike rides was like a sport. And then I basically started riding my bike then. And I didn't get into lifting, though, until Sarah got me into lifting. So Sarah actually got me into bodybuilding.
No way.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is really cool. So, Sarah, you were already about this life then?
So probably about a year or so before I got Kenny into it. So I ran track and cross country in high school. Nothing like, I hated it. I thought I saw Olympic runners like sprinters, and I was like, I want my hamstrings to look like that. And I thought cross country was the answer. Oh my God. So I ran just to run because I thought at the time that that's what I needed to do to get into shape. And then I grew up doing like camping and backpacking. I was an avid rock climber before we got into lifting, and I fell 15 feet and broke my foot in but 2 spots.
Oh my God.
So I was bouldering. I wasn't attached to ropes or anything. So I fell, and then I was like, I need to do something, even though I had this freaking boot on my leg. And I got into the gym, and I really, really enjoyed it. And then at that point, it kind of just kept going at that point. So.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then I got hit by a car riding a bike.
Jeez.
Dude.
Yeah.
You guys are like the Terminators.
Oh, yeah, I know, right? Dude, yeah. It was just like a random, total normal ride. Like I rode it the same ride probably 40 times at this point. And someone made a left turn in front of me, and I couldn't brake in time. I was going about 20 miles per hour.
Oh shit.
And I went right into the wheel well. My bike exploded because it was made out of carbon, and basically flipped on the other side. It was totally fine, but my bike was destroyed. And basically road bikes can be really, really expensive. They're almost they're like obnoxiously expensive. And this one, I was basically given this bike. It was like a partial sponsorship, you could call it. And I wasn't gonna get another bike, so I had to tell the person who hit me, like, hey, can you please, here's my bike. That's all I want. I don't want anything else. I just need a new bike. And she said, yeah, sure. And when I showed her the price tag, she said, oh, fuck that. And it was, the bike was the cost of a car, basically. And so I had no bike, and I was basically trying to find myself again because cycling was my life. And Sarah basically got me into the gym, and yeah, that was it, man. That was, yeah.
So a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, total blessing.
That is crazy. I feel okay. So we've interviewed quite a few people, and we have similar paths, and I think everyone kind of goes through this. It's almost like every time people start talking about how they ended up doing what they're doing, something like this has happened. Like maybe they didn't get hit by a car or fall off a boulder. Yeah, fall off a cliff. Maybe an extreme case, but almost every time it's some catastrophic event that makes you kind of think about what you're doing, and you're like, dude, I'm not going to live forever. Like I better enjoy what I'm doing. And it kicks you in the ass and makes you really take into consideration like what you care about. Mm-hmm. So I think that's really cool. I mean, not cool that you fell off a cliff and got hit by a car, but like cool that it led to this,
Well, it changed. I mean, it changed the whole trajectory of our life, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we all look back at it, and it was definitely a positive. There are certain things that I miss about rock climbing, and I maybe would do it more with ropes, right? Obviously. And Kenny misses riding his bike, and
yeah, no, there are days where I do, like I miss getting on the bike, but it's funny when something like this happens to you where it's bad in the moment, you don't really realize that it's actually, well, at least for me, it could be a very good thing, right? Like everything, at least for me, everything happens for a reason, and that reason is always for the betterment of yourself. Yep. But the perspective of that is very hard to grasp until you're experiencing why kind of happened. Like if I never got hit by that car, I wouldn't be here today. Like there would be no bodybuilding. I'd just probably be working at a bike shop, to be honest with you. Still
wearing Lycra still.
Yeah, wearing Lycra. Yeah, but it's crazy. It's crazy how that works.
That is, and it takes a lot. It takes a lot to be able to recognize that. I think you have to remove yourself from the situation and kind of set your ego aside to be able to really look into, okay, why did this happen? And I almost screwed up there. It doesn't happen to you. It happens for you. Nothing happens to you.
Correct.
Right. Exactly.
Absolutely. 100% agree with that.
Yeah. So it's cool. I think as we get older and as more quote unquote shit happens to us, you really build the ability to be able to remove yourself from it and be able to see, okay, well, why is this happening? Like, what am I supposed to learn from this?
Right.
I'm not just supposed to like sit on my ass and eat Doritos and like wait for my bones to heal. Like I should be doing something, right?
Right. Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
Definitely. I mean, I looking back on everything, it's like, it's being able to kind of look at things in hindsight, right? And realizing, oh my gosh, this is exactly why this happened, and kind of keeping that mindset when things happen that maybe aren't necessarily positive, but kind of being able to keep that mindset. And hey, like, I remember when this happened to me back when, this is definitely going to be a learning process and a learning experience for the betterment of ourselves. So
yeah, it's weird because whenever you start something new, like you might have a goal in mind, right? And you might have whatever it's business, a physique goal, doesn't really matter. The goal itself, when it's in your head, it can be very appealing. It can be very, wow, I want to do this. And then when you take that first step to do it, you might run into a point where you are failing, or perhaps you're making a mistake or whatever it might be. But all of those things happen to you for a reason, right? They're there to strengthen you. And it's kind of weird. I believe that everyone has the potential to be successful in whatever they have going for them. It's up to you to make sure that you keep walking forward. Like, it's inevitable for it to happen unless you prematurely stop it from happening. I mean, like, I could have given up right there and then and said, fuck lifting. This is not bike riding. I miss my bike too much, or it's too hard, or it's too difficult. But everything happens to strengthen you, not to weaken you. But the only way you get weaker is if you allow yourself to get weaker, if that makes sense.
100%. That is quite literally the premise of this podcast. No struggle, no strength.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. You have to endure some struggle and come out on the other side. If you don't choose to endure it, then you're not going to be better. So I think it's cool to hear people's stories like that. And so many times we have people on this podcast, there's always a strong adversity that somebody has to overcome, but it leads you to where you're supposed to be, and it leads you to a stronger version of yourself. So it's really cool to see that. Something I'm interested in learning about is, Kenny, were you semi-professional, or you a professional cyclist?
Not definitely not professional. I would say I was I wouldn't say semi-professional. So I was definitely riding with those who were professional, and I was just beginning. But I did, how do I say this? I did believe that I was going to be pro one day. I guess I need to get into races. I had just begun. So basically started riding 18, did a couple group rides, and then I was in terrible shape, awful shape, and then took a couple probably a good year to get into good cycling shape, and then started racing in college. And then in college, it's kind of a weird thing. So it's NCAA, and there's WCCC. It's like the West Coast Collegiate Cycling something. It's like its own little league. And it's really not recognized by major colleges. So I did little races in there. I was going to race in, races outside of college, but by the time that happened, I got hit by a car. So it was really kind of maturing, I guess you could say that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. The reason I ask is because I think a lot of us, especially in bodybuilding and in our circle, we're super competitive. Mm-hmm. And with everything I've heard from you guys today, obviously we know that competitive nature is inside both of you. How important do you think that has been in you actually having the balls to go after what you want and not be afraid of failing?
I think it's huge.
Whew, that is a good question.
Yeah. I think it's gigantic. Because it's a strange thing. Like, you can compare yourself to others, right? Because you're in competition with, I guess, whatever you put your mind to, right? But in reality, the competition is yourself. You behold, it's kind of a weird thing. Your body, it can grow both on a physical and mental level, right? At least to me, the mind and body are one and the same. They can't be separated. And if you want to improve yourself against those who are potentially going to race or compete against or whatever it might be, the only way to do that is to look into the mirror and see, how can I improve myself? Because if you start looking at others, then you can psych yourself out. You might prematurely quit. It becomes a mind fuck of a thing. And this goes for anything. This goes for business. This goes for school. This goes for whatever it might be. Because at the end of the day, this is my opinion, you're the beholder of your ultimate destiny. And the competitive nature, at least for me, to continuously get better each day is a main driver. Like, It's the one thing that it's strange, because being in sports my whole life, you kind of understand, at least for me, what it means to practice and practice well, and the outcomes of those things. Because if you don't practice, or rather practice with intent, then you kind of stay stagnated. But if you were to practice with intent, whatever it doesn't matter what the hell it is, it's inevitable that you'll get better, even through the frustrations and the anxieties and the failures, whatever it might be. Like I think it's critical to be competitive. And I think being competitive doesn't necessarily have to entail being in an actual game or, a competition of any sort against other people. Like, you need to be competitive with yourself. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, that's my opinion.
Does it ever go too far? Can you be too competitive into where it almost hurts your progress?
I think it can. I think it comes down to your perspective as to criticalness. Like, if you have it's weird. So I have this kind of dichotomic viewpoint on criticalness, where you can be critical in a very conducive manner, or you be critical in a very destructive manner. Mm-hmm. And depending on how you're looking at yourself, you can see your weaknesses as opportunities to get better, or you can see your weaknesses as blockades, like, oh, I can't overcome this. So if you're driven and ambitious, it tends to be a natural progression to fall onto the side of being destructively critical, because the more ambitious you are, the more desire you're going to want to have it immediately, because you can already see in your head, like, hey, I'm going to accomplish this goal, and I'm going to do this, and that to get there. But sometimes, the ambition, at least in my opinion, can drive you to becoming destructively critical, where in reality, because your body and mind are one and the same, and your body can adapt, and so can your mind, through going through these struggles, just like your podcast name is like quite literally the whole premise, right? If you were to reorient your perspective on making sure that your weaknesses are actually opportunities to get stronger, then I think you'll be fine. But once you lose sight of that, then your competitiveness can be completely destructive, and that's not a good thing.
Yeah, there's a very fine line between having that self-doubt and having self-belief. I think when it comes to being competitive, there's a very fine line, and going all in on yourself takes, like, you have to stay on the line of self-belief. There are moments when you might have self-doubt, but again, it's a very fine line. Like what Kenny was saying, it's being self-critical to where you are picking yourself apart, or being self-critical where you are aware that you need to better yourself in some way.
Yeah. And to go off what you're saying too, is there's defense mechanisms that happen with your body, right? Like on both a physiological perspective and a mental perspective. And I do believe that, like, doubt, especially when you're starting to approach something that's novel and new, say embarking on a physique goal, or embarking on a new business, or whatever it might be. I think a lot of people experience doubt. It's a natural thing to experience, but doubt, at least in my opinion, is a precursor to having a breakthrough. Because if you're about to experiencing something novel, something new, you have no idea what it's going to entail and how you're going to do. But in the same principle, you're about to literally break through into a new level of your life. So sometimes I think we naturally want to be in a very comfortable space, a very good space, and taking that leap of faith, even if it's small or big, doubt and anxiety and all those things, I do believe it's a defense mechanism to prevent you from completely falling on your face. And if you just basically just continue forth, you're about to have a breakthrough. And it's, yeah.
Every breakdown you have often leads to a breakthrough.
Yeah.
I agree. I think a lot of times when people experience doubt, they have this idea in their head that they can't do something. And I don't like that word, can't. And it's taken me a long time to reframe my thinking when I start to experience doubt and anxiety, because everyone does, especially when you're building a business, when you're embarking on any goal or journey, no matter what it may be. everyone will have a little bit of doubt, but the important part is that you don't focus on, I can't do that, because instead, like what you guys are saying, it's how can I do that?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I know it's possible. I'm not the only one who's done it. But instead of I can't do that, it's how can I do that? And that's a powerful reframe just to make yourself believe that it's possible.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's knowing that doubt and anxiety is a natural thing that will naturally come up. It almost gives you an edge as to, oh, this is supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm supposed to keep going. It's just part of the process.
And being self-aware of when that's happening is like half the battle. When you can look in the mirror and call yourself out on your bullshit, that's half the battle.
Yep.
Yes. I feel like that happens a lot. We talk about imposter syndrome a lot on this podcast, and it never goes away.
Nope. It never does.
Like, it sucks that it never goes away. But like you're saying, Sarah, yeah, you get better at recognizing it. And you can stare yourself down in the mirror and you can be like, listen, all right, you know what the fuck you're doing. Like, you're good at this. Okay?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really funny. And something that everybody goes through. Something else that I wasn't planning on going this direction, but something I wanted to pick you guys' brain on is you both come from very different worlds from where we are now, right? Like running, cycling, you were cardio people.
Oh yeah.
Right. And so being a coach, where my brain is at is when I get clients who they want to do more and more and more. And they think that moving more and eating less is the way to get their physique to look the way that they want it to. Now, you guys have been on both ends of the spectrum. Mm-hmm. I would imagine, like, I've never been a cardio person. I've always hated cardio, but I imagine that you have a leg up in being able to connect to your clients on a different level that a lot of coaches like myself can't, because I was never on that side of the spectrum. How do you think that helps you in building your business and connecting to people? And is that your ideal clientele? Is that mostly who you work with?
Wow, that is a really good question.
Yeah.
I would say yes. I mean, getting people out of that cycle, just kind of knowing what it feels like to be in that, definitely helps. Like, having been through driving myself into the ground hormonally, being quote unquote skinny fat and running my wheels and not getting anywhere and eating under 1,000 calories because that's what my fitness pal set me to, or that's what my BMI told me that I needed to be at because I'm 5'1" and X amount of pounds. Right. And, it was, I'm going to be completely honest, like, what kind of got me out of that, aside from falling and breaking my foot, was I saw Katie Hearn and I thought, holy shit, like, how do I get like that? How do I look like that? Because I hated doing cardio my whole life. I hated it, but I did it because I thought that's what needed to happen in order for me to have abs or an ass or hamstrings or quads. Right. And it started off as this very surface level goal of wanting to look a certain way. And then it turned into this whole life-changing thing where I didn't only just like look a certain way on the outside, but I felt better internally and from a mindset perspective. I mean, this changed my entire life and my perspective on how I kind of viewed myself and how I've been able to kind of push forward. I mean, lifting weights, as we all say, is kind of a metaphor for life, of being able to kind of deal with the hardship that happens, because when you put the weights on your back, that's the hardest thing you'll do all damn day, right? Like, that's the hardest thing you'll do all day. And when you leave the gym, everything else is like, oh, okay, right? So for me, kind of being on that end of the spectrum where I know how horrible it feels to not be comfortable in your own skin and trying to shrink yourself down, to now understanding that your goal weight and your goal physique are not the same, and wanting to help people understand that is like my ultimate goal as a coach, is to help people understand that they don't need to shrink themselves down to feel good about themselves. They should be feeling good about themselves internally and when they look in the mirror, right? I want them to be comfortable in their own skin, and kind of having that background, I think, definitely has helped, because I know how painful it is to feel like that physically and mentally. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of a strange thing. So growing up, didn't really have, can't say support, but my parents are wonderful people. But in terms of trying to do something on my own merit, like for example, cycling was something that was like completely off the radar. When I first brought the idea, like, hey, Dad, I'm gonna, pursue cycling as a career. Like that's how, like that's I was like, I'm like, fuck it, I'm doing this. It was taken with a lot of grains of salt. Like it wasn't welcomed, and uh, you know, going through that, I wanted to learn as much as possible about how do I make this actually happen, because I realized I was on my own on this at this point. And I've always been kind of a student. I love learning. I love reading all this stuff. And so I just like to dissect a lot of things. And, it's funny because cycling and lifting or bodybuilding, they're very similar in the sense that there's a lot of pain involved, a lot of pain, to the point where in a race, for example, and this is going to sound crazy, but when you're in the race, everyone has a very stoic face, no emotions, no sign of pain, nothing. And the reason being is that you're looking at each other in what they call the peloton. It's the group of bike riders, basically, or cyclists together, and you're looking for any sort of just inkling of someone just dying inside. Like if I go right now, if I just smash my pedals right now, will this person follow me, or will this person just die behind me? And the moment you see someone just, maybe wince their lips or perhaps like fucking breathing hard, you just drop the hammer and fucking go. And similar in the gym, if you want to grow, you have to push past that point, right? It's either you basically go deeper into the pain or you lose the race. And it was like, you always choose going deeper into the pain.
Mm-hmm.
And the body and the mind adapt just like that. Like the further you get out of your comfort zone, the better you're going to be, right? And so with bodybuilding and learning that, because that was brand new to me. I had no fucking idea what the hell that entailed, right? When I first started, I basically took the same approach. I just started reading and trying to dissect things, and I found out there's a lot of misinformation out there, a lot of things that kind of conflicted with each other, and I was left kind of like, what the fuck do I do? And for me, my ultimate goal is to, as a coach, is to eradicate that misinformation as much as I can, right? Because there's this, going back to everyone has the potential to be successful. Sometimes when you find misinformation, that can be a gigantic blockade. And that misinformation can make you think that, holy shit, maybe I can't do this, because perhaps you're trying, a new diet, or perhaps you're trying a new workout, or, whatever it might be, and you're just seeing nothing happen. And you just sometimes flat out give up. But if you find the right information, if you really look at how the human body works and put all the pieces together, logically, it makes sense. It's like, oh shit, if you're in a plateau, for example, well, you look at the biofeedback and be like, well, this is why it's not you, like you're fine. It's just, you got to manipulate something here. And next thing you know, you just continue forward. And I just remember, experiencing multiple moments of doubt myself in reading this misinformation and thinking like, well, Jesus, am I meant to do this? Should I go back on the bicycle? Should I just, in fact, I did. I remember I bought that bicycle frame. Oh, yeah. So I guess give you an idea. So the bike I had at the time, it was called a Time RXR Old Team. It was a French racing bike. And they had a proprietary thing going on, how they weave the carbon together. The bike I had was worth about $17,000, and the frame, just the frame, like meaning there's nothing on it. It's just like you're just holding the bicycle frame. It retail, well, back when it was, back then it was like $6,500 just for the bicycle frame. And I went out and bought it. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go buy this thing. I want to go back on the bike because I was comfortable with it. And I remember, fortunately, I returned it. And because it was just like, holy fuck, I can't believe I just spent this much money on this stupid bicycle frame. But I just remember thinking like, why did I give up on myself so quickly? And it had everything to do with just, well, the misinformation. So as a coach, I just want to make sure that, and everyone that goes through us, like you understand the why behind why you're doing this. It's not just, we're just not giving you random workouts. We're not just giving you random macros or random advice. Like there's like specific purposes behind this. And so that's it.
Yeah. And I think part of being a coach is also meeting people where they're at, and there's no such thing as a one size fits all. You have to be able to work with people to help them understand what works for their body, why certain things aren't working for them, and help guide them down the path that's right for them as an individual. And that's why I love one-on-one coaching. Something that I think maybe you guys can shed some light on this, because I think all coaches come from a similar space where most of us are pretty fucked up. Like that's why we got into coaching. Like we screwed up a lot, or we had really hard times when we were young and fitness got us through it. For some reason, for one way or another, we've struggled a lot. And like you guys are saying, we want to help people not have to struggle and make all the mistakes that we did, and help them get there the right way, rather than the guess and check, screw yourself up, drive your hormones into the ground and have to fix yourself kind of way. Right.
Yeah.
So at least for me personally, and I'm sure you guys feel this way, it sure seems like you do, it can be pretty emotional working with clients. Like I can be really, really invested, and I can find myself caring too much. Like I have to take a step back. And I think a lot of people who build a business around a passion or something that's very important to them might feel that way. And it makes it much more difficult, because obviously we don't make the best decisions when we think emotionally. We have to remove ourselves and think logically. So how do you guys deal with this of overcoming the emotional aspect of working with people in a space that's so emotionally attached to who we are and where we came from? What type of tactics do you use to remove yourself from that situation and be able to ensure that you can deliver a solid product and not lose yourself in it, I guess?
That's an excellent question. I don't know that I've ever even thought about that ever.
I honestly didn't until you guys started talking, and I was like, okay, this is all the coaches. And I'm sure this is a lot of business owners too, who like, it's like when you hear about people who they start a company and it's their baby and they don't want to get rid of it. And you're like, okay, well, logically looking at the numbers, this is the best time you should sell your company, because you're not going to get another opportunity like this. And they're like, no, it's my baby. So I think this question can apply to every sort of business. It's just that we tend to deal with people who were in our same situation, so it's more emotional.
Yeah, it's interesting because like you're basically looking at, or rather meeting people who come to you, right? And they have a goal in mind, a physique goal, and perhaps they've been through very similar, experiences that we've been through. And, the thing is, at least for me, everyone goes through moments of, how do I say this? Moments of frustrations and anxieties, but they all happen for a purpose. So like the analogy I like to use is that on your road to success, there's a lot of peaks and valleys. So there's peaks of successes and there's valleys of frustrations and hardships, but all those hardships are purposeful because every valley leads to another peak, right? So if you were to reach a goal and now you have a new goal, well, guess what? You have to go down that peak, go down another valley, and then go up another peak. And sometimes you might come across someone who's in that valley and they're not quite ready for certain things, right? Like as a coach, you have to, like you said, Josh, you have to meet them where they are, right? Like the coach and the athlete serve two purposes. They have a very, it's a two-way street relationship. And the coach always, at least in my opinion, just like you have to meet where the athlete is, because your job is quite literally to navigate them through that valley, right? And if they're going through something where as a coach that they have the potential to do this, they clearly do, but they're not quite seeing it. It's hard. It gets emotionally hard. It's like, oh my gosh, I see all this potential within you. I wish you saw it too. But knowing that every frustration and whatever it might be is a natural progression of someone going through that valley and up to that success point, it becomes understandable. It becomes like, well, shit, I went through the same thing. You know, if someone gave me a piece of advice that I wasn't necessarily ready for, it would have just been one ear and out the other type of thing, because I just wasn't ready for it. And then, you know, looking back at, I give you an example right now. Like, my dad, it's funny, I wasn't allowed to go to the gym to lift weights, but the one time that I was allowed to lift weights with my dad, the first thing he told me was to focus on tension. And he told me to go really slow. Don't whip through the weights, so go really slow. And I remember I was at LA Fitness in Northridge, and I looked around at everyone, and everyone's fucking whipping weights. Like, they're just going through it. And I'm like, are you sure, Dad? Like, everyone's fucking whipping weights right now. And he said, yeah, trust me. And I did. And I thought, all right, fine. And eventually I started whipping weights myself, because I thought my friends were doing it. Everyone's doing it. Like, fuck it, I'm just going to whip through the form. And fast forward to today, or, you know, perhaps, I don't know, when I first, you know, started coaching, I was like, holy shit, my dad was right. Yep. Like, that piece of advice, I'm giving the same advice now to everyone that I coach. It's like, shit, it's crazy.
Yeah. And I would say, I mean, in this field, I mean, genuine human connection is so important when it comes to, you know, the athlete coach relationship, I think. And, you know, one of our biggest things is that our job is to educate as well. Like Kenny said earlier, like, we don't want to just give macros. We don't want to just give programming. We actually want you to understand why we're doing what we're doing. Because at the end of the day, as much as we love our clients and our athletes, right, we love them so much, like, our job is to never make someone solely dependent on you so that they can't move on without you. That's not our job. Our job is to educate them so that if they decide to part ways, and it is in no way personal at all, it's the nature of the beast, right? That's the business. And if they decide to part ways, we want them to be able to look back and say, Kenny and Sarah taught me this, and I know what to do, right? Our job is to never make it so that they are solely dependent on us, so that they have no clue what the fuck's going on when they leave. And it's important to kind of remember that as much as we build this relationship and maybe an emotional attachment, that sometimes, I mean, people need to move on. And that's kind of where I stand on that. So
yeah, and I still talk to clients that are no longer, you know, clients. They reach out, and I'm still friends with them. It's like, it's a relationship. We're humans, you know. Like Sarah said, it's like the nature of the beast, right?
Yeah.
So
I think that's a beautiful way that you both worded that, in that even though you have a coach, someone who's helping you along, I mean, like, you know, we have fitness coaches, we both have the same business coach, you know, we have somebody to look up to and ask questions to, but we still have to struggle a little bit. Like, we still have to go through the peaks and valleys. And of course, yeah, we have guidance, but you can't just pick us up and put us somewhere. Like, you can't just pick us up where we're at and bring us to where we want to be and expect that we're going to be able to figure it out. We'd freak out. We're in a completely new place. We don't know what's going on. So the guidance and the education is so important. And I feel like I want to make a point that this isn't just for coaching. Like, this is for any business. Yeah. Like, I go to get my haircut, and my barber teaches me stuff, and that I continue to see him. Cause you know, when you go get your haircut and you leave and you look fresh as hell, and it's like your hair never looks better. And then, and you're like, great, I'm never going to be able to make it look like this again. Like, this is, my barber teaches me how to do that. So I'm like, dude, you're my boy. I'm going to keep on seeing you. And that may sound really dumb, but it makes a huge impact on people.
Yeah,
it does.
And I think that's really valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So to switch gears a little bit here, Kenny, you had mentioned, you've talked about your dad quite a bit. And I think this is something else that a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with, is trying to please those around them.
Oh God. Yeah.
So I know when I started coaching, and my parents will probably listen to this podcast and it's okay. When I first started coaching, my parents were like, oh, great. Like, here he goes again. Just like gonna, be a personal trainer for a little bit. Cool phase, dude. And I was like, no, this is going to be my career. And I had to block out a lot of people who were telling me that this wasn't going to work and that this wasn't feasible and that I wouldn't be able to build the life for myself that I wanted. And here we are, like a year and a half, 2 years later into online coaching. I've been in-person training for a lot longer than that. And now people are starting to ask how I did it and how I'm doing it and what's happening. So especially with someone with like family members, how'd you deal with that with your dad?
Oh boy. Well, in the beginning I was pretty, I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty upset. I was like frustrated. I was like, come on, Dad, I'm just trying to live my life, whatever. But part of me always wanted to please him, always wanted to make him proud type of thing. And took me a long time to realize that, and this goes for, friends, family, whoever it might be. If they're telling you, hey, be careful with that decision, you got to make a living. It's too dangerous. Why don't you get a job with the, insurance, a lawyer, be a lawyer, be a doctor, whatever it might be, right? Lawyer and doctor was my thing. That was my parents wanted me to be a doctor or a lawyer.
Yep,
and
my dad was a lawyer.
My uncle's a lawyer.
Yeah, let me just go be a doctor.
I'll just decide to be a doctor real quick. BRB, 8 years later.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. As soon as I realized that they were just doing it out of care for my well-being, mm-hmm. I decided, you know what? I know this is what I want to do because I've been in jobs where, man, I hated it. Like, I chose, the way I ended up in accounts payable was that I purposely chose to go into a more business-oriented career to make more money and to be safe. And I thought, man, this is great. Initially, this is the smart decision to do, whatever. I'm 2 years deep into it. I hated it. I was miserable. And I remember thinking, fitness has always been my thing, just like you. Like, I've always loved, fitness and health. And I just decided that I got to do what's right for me, because ultimately my parents and friends and family, whatever it might be, they just want the well-being of you. And if they knew what you were going through right now, like you're miserable, you hate your job, you're spending 9 hours a day at this place, they would be like, Jesus, fuck that place, get the hell out of there, do something you like. And it can be a scary thing because as an entrepreneur, holy shit, man, you're on your own. You're on your own. There's nobody there to help you. And and that could be scary as hell. As a dad and mom, you're looking at your kid and like, oh shit, if he drowns, he drowns. Like, he's gone.
Hope he makes it.
And what was that?
I was like, hope he makes it, but if he dies, he dies.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it was the pleasing people I had a huge issue with. Man, I wanted to please everyone around me, especially my parents. And then, Sarah honestly helped me. If it wasn't, Sarah really helped me with that. It was a huge struggle. And I almost didn't believe in myself, to be honest with you, because I didn't want to disappoint my parents. And if it wasn't for Sarah, encouraging me, honestly, I'm not just trying to kiss your ass. Like, I really do mean it. Like,
just constantly kissing my ass.
Like, it's, I just having that support system, from someone who actually believes in you, in all aspects of your life, it helps tremendously. And, Sarah has helped me learn, what hard work, really entails. There's going to be like the sayings that I said, like doubt's like a precursor to a breakthrough. Like that's all come from her. Honestly, because that's all I dealt with was doubt, constant doubt, because how am I going to look? How am I going to, is this going to actually please my family? Is this going to look good? I'm letting go of that ego, because it was all ego. And you start to just really kind of do what you like. It opens doors to your whole life, man. It's crazy. I don't know if I just rambled on, or I don't know if that made sense.
No, that's exactly what I needed to hear. And I think what a lot of our listeners needed to hear is, your ego can just get in the way. And I think if anybody hasn't read Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday, highly recommend it. It helps you take a step back and use your ego as a power, instead of your ego being the one that's saying, oh, I have to please this person. I have to fix this. I have to do this. And it really is powerful, but a lot of what you just said resonates with the pages of that book. So I think that's really valuable, especially for family members.
Yeah. And like finding, I think getting in contact with people who have done this thing before, because people like you're saying, like, you're listening to the opinion of like your family member who have most likely never done what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
You put weight on their opinion because they're your parent or your sibling or whatever, but they have no idea what they're talking about. Mm-hmm. It's like taking nutrition advice from a lot of general practitioner doctors. They're like, you should do this. They don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's, if you're having like doubt in yourself by yourself, and then you're having doubt from people around you, it's like, how do you stop all of that doubt? I mean, I think a great place is just finding people who actually know what they're talking about. Mm-hmm. And like, whether it's like reading their content, reading their books, like following them on social, or it's connecting with mentors or a network of people, so you can bounce these ideas off of them and say, hey, as someone who actually knows what you're talking about, is this a good idea? You know what I mean? Like, I have a bunch of people who have no idea what they're talking about, including myself, telling me this is maybe a bad idea, but like, what do you think? I think it can be huge.
Yeah. And having that support group, like, of just like-minded people, even like I met you guys in Austin this past weekend. I am so fired up from that. And like I'm ready to just dominate right now. So I feel like if you want to do something, you have to learn to ignore people who haven't done it before. Travis has a really good point there. And then, find people who have done it. Find people who align with what you like and care about and have similar passions, and you'll all rise to the top. That's one of my favorite things about this industry is, like, you guys are coaches. I'm a coach. We have a lot of friends that are coaches. No one's cherry picking business or like trying to take you guys, like put you out of business. Like, we're all trying to rise to the top together. And that's the family.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Holy shit. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what
it's about. Funny. It can be, just one more point, just go back to what Travis said. It can be a mind fuck of a thing, especially as a young person who is perhaps already has a goal in mind, right? Let's say they want to be a coach, just, because maybe they're listening to this, like, oh, I want to do what Josh does. I want to be like Travis, I want to start a podcast, whatever it might be. It can be a little bit of a mind fuck, especially if your parents are giving you advice and it's all out of love and care. But the mind fuck comes from the fact that your whole life, at least for me, these are the people that you did look up to. These are not just your mom and dad, but they're like quite literally your mentors.
Yep.
Like they are my beloved mentors. And it's the first time that as you start growing up, you start developing your own ideas. The principles that they taught you are within you and they organically grow into your own thing. But at some point in your life, you're going to get an idea of like, what, I want to do this, I want to really do this. And then if that idea doesn't necessarily align with your mentors, it can be a hard thing to do. And just like Travis said, I did exactly what you said. I found people who were cyclists at the time. And I was like, I got to find someone who has done this or is doing this. And lo and behold, I did. And it was very powerful to have that support.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing too is that when you do move forward with a passion of yours, your parents are going to be happy. They're going to love the fuck out of you because they're going to see like, oh my God, he's happy or she's happy. Oh, thank God, and that's all they ever wanted. And that's it. And but it is that hard mind fuck of just having, just do it. Just get over the doubt, put your ego aside, and just do it.
It's the danger of letting too many cooks in the kitchen, right? I mean,
yes,
it's the same, like if you're coaching someone and you have their friend talking in their ear about something that they have no idea what they're talking about, it can derail the entire thing. So
the worst, the worst.
Yeah.
Or to like Travis's point, yeah, they have their general practitioner being like, no, you only need to eat 1,200 calories a day to lose weight.
Yeah.
You're like,
on their BMI.
You're like, now I have to like decredit this doctor.
Yeah.
Who's like went to med school. Like I've got like a certification. Like I took a few classes online.
Oh my gosh.
That's incredible.
Yeah. But yeah, it is important to surround yourself with like-minded people. Now that being said, I want to talk about this a little bit. So although we are no longer teammates on one of our teams, we are still teammates with Jason Phillips.
Yes.
Which I love. Like, I don't know how you guys feel about it so far, but it is the best decision I've ever made.
Oh yeah.
We love him so much.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Yeah. It is amazing. And so, yeah, like I'm in a couple group chats and we're just surrounded by people who are growing their business and sharing ideas all the time. How important is that?
Oh, it's crazy important.
Crazy important. Like to see that. I actually saw today, I was like, he posted about Kara today.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, dude, that is freaking awesome. She is crushing it right now.
She is.
And being able to kind of see that and just like being around like-minded people and your vibe attracts your tribe, right? I mean, that's what this whole thing is. And being able to see that, watching things come to fruition for the people around you is so amazing.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's inspiring. It shows like, hey, shit, we can do this too. Like our friends are kicking ass. Let's like, you got hype. Like we're fucking hype. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's fucking do this. Like, you know?
Yep. And it helps change that, like we talked about earlier, and it helps change your mind from the I can't do this to the how can I do this? Because I'm literally seeing people do this every day. I'm in a group chat with 20 some odd people, and we're always sharing ideas or sharing what our goals are and how we're going to reach them for the coming week. And multiple times a day, I have this light bulb go off and I'm like, oh my God, I never thought of that. That's what I need to do. And then I pivot. And honestly, I would pay just for that to be in the group. Never mind have the guidance of Jason Phillips.
That's the power of like social media. It's like, networking on steroids.
Yeah.
Like times a million.
Yeah. And we do this. So Travis and I, we have a lot of entrepreneurial friends, and we have some group chats, and we're always just kind of sharing ideas. And we have a lot of people from a lot of different industries, but the things still apply. So like, I encourage everybody to kind of find their entrepreneurial friends or friends who are doing things that are similar to you. And even like Travis said, social media is incredibly powerful. I got people all across the world that I'm connected with, that we're connected with, that all like, this is how I met you guys. And you can build a really, really good network. And I feel like if people aren't taking advantage of that, that's really important. Something that you guys are really good at doing.
Oh, thanks. I had no idea.
I mean, social media can be a very, very powerful tool, or it can be very detrimental to your goals and your dreams, right?
Mm-hmm.
It can distract you. It can keep you from moving forward. It can put you in a state of mind where imposter syndrome is full force, right? Or you can use it as a tool to launch you and to make connections and to attract people that are like-minded. It's extremely powerful, and it's been amazing in our lives.
Yeah, I mean, it's like going back to what you said, Josh, like success is possible for everyone. And, seeing people all become successful, like in supporting, exchanging ideas, like this is a beautiful thing. This is like interacting in person. Social media is just a new way to, get together and interact. And I think, I don't know what they can call this, but there's this, and perhaps maybe you've experienced this phenomena of like, oh my gosh, you see this person doing really well, and you're like, what the fuck am I doing wrong? And then you get really kind of like, oh man, I wish I can do this. And you start getting into yourself, you start beating yourself up or whatever it might be. But then instead of just simply, your ego gets in the way. And if you just reach out to that person and be like, hey, you're amazing. How did you do this? that's where this relationship begins. And the next thing you know, you're exchanging ideas. You possibly met a new friend, a new mentor, and it's just about taking that leap and just being friendly, I guess. It's like,
by the way, the answer is you've been doing it for 1 month and they've been doing it for 10 years.
Yeah, that's often the answer.
Yes.
Yes. 9 times out of 10, that's the answer.
Even
exactly.
less like even on a smaller scale though, as you're describing this, Kenny, I'm like, wait, that's how we met. Yeah, because I think, well, we had been talking a little bit, and then your Instagrams are like the most valuable fitness resources on the internet today. I'm convinced, right? You started doing these swipe posts, and I reached out to you and I was like, hey, how do you do the swipe posts? Like, can I do that?
I do.
Yeah. And you were like, and you could have totally just been like, yeah, whatever. I just like make them. But you were like, no, you use Canva and you do this. And I think it's going to be really cool. And you were super supportive. And so you're saying this. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's literally how Kenny and I became friends.
Yeah. It's like, it's funny because I mean, there are people like that where they're like, yeah, just made it, like,
yeah, just really, like, whatever, go away. Like,
yeah. But
not you.
It's like, it was extremely humbling that you even asked me. I was like, holy fuck, someone wants to know how I make these, it's like, what the hell? So like that first alone was like, my gosh, this guy, I'm not going to leave someone hanging, because I know the feeling of what it means to be kind of left hanging. It's a shitty feeling. And it's, I just don't like that feeling at all. So if like someone asks a question, I usually go fucking balls the wall with it, and like, I actually kind of apologize sometimes because I just fucking leave voice notes after the voice note because it's just like this fucking, speech of a thing. And I just don't like ever leave anyone hanging. And perhaps it has something to do with pleasing people, but I think it has, primarily to do with kind of knowing just kind of what it feels like to not be supported. It fucking sucks. Yeah. It's a shitty feeling.
It is.
Yeah.
And there's a practical karma of that too, because that person could be just an absolute protege who just needs like a few pieces of advice. And if you tell them to like fuck off, they're still going to get there. And then you're going to be at the same conference as them and they're going to be like, fuck off to you. You know what I mean? So it's better to just always be like helping everybody around you. That's like, you can become successful with that kind of like scarcity mindset of like, I keep my secrets to myself, but it's going to come back and bite you eventually.
For sure.
Yeah.
Totally agree, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go back because for real, if people haven't looked at your Instagrams, I think that they absolutely have to, especially if they're into health or fitness at all. Y'all have some incredibly valuable information. You're so consistent. I think a lot of people, when they're building their business, they know the importance of social media. They know the importance of social networking. They know the importance of putting out quality content. And you guys do this at such a high clip. How do you manage your time to do that?
You know what?
You're like, we don't.
I think
I'm like, look, manage.
I think it really helped us having to balance full-time jobs while trying to make this happen. Because when we came here and didn't have that, it was like, what do we do?
It was like that.
We have all this time in the day. Like, are we even doing anything?
Yeah.
And sometimes it feels like we're not doing anything.
It does.
Because coming from working literally 9 hours a day, driving 4 hours a day, doing content in the car, in between the gym and eating and going to sleep and then repeating, being here now is like, this is now a piece of cake. This is now, it's a I almost said ritual. It's a routine. We've kind of, for when we first got here, it was kind of like, we didn't really know, like, I mean, completely honest, like we didn't know how to like really manage our time. We were sleeping in. It was like, okay, we're going to the gym super late. Like, where's the day?
Sounds great.
But now we've kind of gotten a much more productive schedule for us. But I feel like it's harder to manage time now, having more free time than when we were in corporate jobs because it was more structured. So now we've created more of a structure for ourselves to make sure that we do stay on top of everything. I will say Facebook Creator is probably one of the most useful tools. And if you don't know what it is, let's talk offline.
Okay. Yeah. We're going to have to talk about this.
But it will change.
What is it?
Changed everything. So if Facebook Creator is, you can schedule your posts. You do not have to touch your phone if you don't want to at all. So you go in there, you type in your post, your caption, you upload your photo. You can say, I want it posted at this time on this date, and it'll post.
Is that just for Facebook, or is that for Instagram too?
It's on Instagram. Everything's linked. So you can do it on Facebook. So if you want to schedule it differently on Facebook, you can, versus Instagram. So say you want it to go up at 5, like say your engagement on Facebook's better at 5 p.m., right? And you want it to go up at 8 p.m. on Instagram. You can set 2 separate schedules for it to publish. It is the greatest thing on the planet. And we will sit down and write out posts for the whole week, schedule them out, and we don't touch our phone.
Yeah.
Damn. That's epic.
I'm like speechless. This is going to change my life.
Yeah. It's going to change your life.
It's quite crazy. Yeah.
Oh man. And you just do that right from Facebook.
Right from Facebook.
Right from Facebook. Facebook Creator.
Facebook Creator Studio.
Is it an app?
What?
That's an app?
No, it's on the desktop.
Oh, it's on the desktop. Okay.
There is an app. I don't know if the app's too good. The desktop's way better.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to literally do that tomorrow.
You can even answer comments on it.
Yeah.
Like you can get all the engagement on it. You can answer comments. You literally do not have to pick up your phone.
Oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. Yeah. I mean, it's awesome.
I think that might be one of the most valuable things to come out of this podcast. Yeah. That's amazing. I'm really excited about that. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay. So you structure your posts and you write out your posts like a week in advance and you just don't touch it.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
That's a great way to manage your time.
Yeah. So you'll feel like you have a lot more free time. Sometimes it's hard to sit down and crank out a bunch of posts for the whole week.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll do 3 at a time so that I can just kind of give my brain a break. But sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm going.
Yeah. Mine take a little bit longer because I have those slide posts.
Yeah.
But if someone's listening to this and they're like, how the hell do I, make good posts or catchy posts or whatever, Canva is really great. Canva, I have the paid version. There's a free version. They're both wonderful. But it's funny, it takes, at least for me, it took a little bit of time to find out what works. And what I mean by what works is, what do your followers actually want to read, or what are they interested? What's going to keep them kind of learning from your posts? And once I found, what worked, I went through a lot of structural, concepts. You just kind of test it out. You look at the insights, you look at the analytics and see okay, people fucking hate this or people love this, But once you get a what's the word here? Not a frame, but a working framework, I guess you want to call it. I just literally I make a new post by copying in Canva. So it's the same thing over and over again. I just change the information. It's easy. Once you get that, it's easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do the same thing. That's a really good, sort of a really good hack, especially for Canva. Yeah. So your Instagrams have been absolutely fire. Your business is taking off in a new direction now. So I want to hear a little bit about this. You've now gone all in on full effort coaching, right?
Yes.
Which is an awesome name, by the way.
Thank you.
It suits the two of you very, very well.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Appreciate that. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about that. What do you have coming up? What can you tell us about? What do you and Jason have planned? If you can share.
Well, a lot planned for sure. We're bringing the podcast back. We took a little bit of a hiatus, but now we're coming back full swinging. We have some free ebooks coming up, some programs that we're going to write, and we're going to donate the proceeds. So that's coming up. Keep a lookout for that.
We're gonna also like do Zoom calls, like seminars type of thing. So if people like want to have face-to-face interaction with us, they can totally do that. And that's for current clients and those who are brand new. We're just going over a series of topics like how does muscle grow, or how do you lose fat, or something that a lot of people need help with. What else? Is there something I'm missing?
No, I don't think so. I think we're kind of revamping just how we approach things from a social media standpoint as well. So that will be new and upcoming. But yeah, so that's basically the plan.
It's very new.
I bet you're developing your own structure now, and there's going to be a lot of pieces that you have to figure out. But it's just another challenge. It's exciting, and if we go back to your analogy, it's like you're getting pulled back to be shot forward. So you're going to make some really great progress.
It's always so hard to explain those things.
It's
like,
really
it's
is.
all in my head, man. If I could just open up my brain, you could see everything. But I got some bullet points.
Yeah. That was honestly,
that's how I feel. When people ask me like, so how's it going? I'm just like, dude, I don't know how to begin to answer that question.
That's honestly part of why I hired Jason, is because I was like, I got all these ideas. Yeah. I felt like, who is that? Charlie from Always Sunny. Yeah. It's like, I got all these ideas and I can't explain them to people. I have a vision, but I don't know how to get there. Yeah. So like, I just need someone to know what I'm saying without saying it, because I can't put it into words very well. And it's been great. So I'm really excited to see what you guys come up with. It's been really fun.
Thank you,
man. Very excited
too.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome.
So we're at about an hour now. I've just enjoyed talking to you. I always enjoy talking to you guys though. And so hopefully other people do as well. But before we go, I know you guys have a lot of stuff to plug, and I want to make sure that people know where to find you and where they can connect with you and your awesome Instagrams and your podcast. So tell us, everybody who's listening, where they can find you and where they can reach out to you to contact you.
Awesome. Well, our coaching business is Full Effort Coaching. Our website is fulleffortcoaching.com. My Instagram is sarahsl.fit.
And mine's kenny.lipton, like I see.
And our podcast is the I Am Podcast, Intent Adaptation Mastery, which is found on iTunes and on Spotify.
Awesome. I love it. And for real, y'all, if you're not following these two on Instagram, you have to go check out their page. It is one of the most valuable resources I have found in health and fitness on the internet. I can't say that enough. And I can't say enough about the good humans that y'all are. I'm so glad we finally got to meet this past weekend, and I know it's not the last time we're going to see you. We're going to see you again in Orlando. So I'm really excited for that. Yep. So, thank you for coming on.
Thank you guys so much for having us. It's been
you.
So great. It's been super fun. And we can't wait for March.
Yeah, and you guys are awesome too, by the way. So I can't wait to see you guys in March. Or Travis, are you gonna be there in March, or?
I don't know. I don't think so.
You want to come to Orlando?
Yeah. I'm down.
Sick. Let's do it.
All right. Well, let's see you guys there.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank y'all again for coming on. We really appreciate it. Thank everybody for tuning in to episode 11.
12, 11 or 12.
I'm Ron Burgundy. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to another episode of the Struggle to Strength podcast. We will see you next week.
See you guys.
Thanks, y'all.